Hello?
Oh my god, did you hear?
Oh, I'm itching to tell you something.
Itching to Tell You with Zoe Ryan.
Today I'm itching to tell you about psoriasis, the facts, the myths and the legends. In other words, what it is, what it isn't, and what are the best resources. To quote Helen Hanrahan, also known as flaky fashionista, psoriasis is one of those conditions that most people have heard of, yet few people can describe what it is. Everybody knows someone who has psoriasis. I find when people hear I have psoriasis, they tend to say something along the lines of, oh yeah, my cousin's boyfriend's brother's wife's father has that. But people generally can't tell you what it is. The problem with that is that if people don't know what something is, they tend to be afraid of it. And that's why today I'm going to start off with the facts. Psoriasis is an inflammatory autoimmune condition. That means that we have irregularities in our immune system which cause inflammation. For people with psoriasis, our skin cells grow at an accelerated rate. Normally it takes around 28 days for the body to create new skin cells. However, for people with psoriasis, that only takes around 4 days. So a new skin cell appears, but the old skin cell hasn't had time to shed off yet, which results in a buildup of dead skin cells on the skin surface. Psoriasis affects around 2% of the Irish population. That may not seem like a lot, but that really translates to around 100,000 people. Enough to fill Croke Park and have a fairly decent line of people queued up along Jones's Road. Psoriasis is genetically inherited, but not all with the genetic predisposition will necessarily develop it. You might have the right genes, but maybe not the right combination of genes for it to appear. So just because someone in your family has psoriasis, it doesn't necessarily mean that you will develop it. For example, my dad has psoriasis and I have psoriasis, but my sister doesn't. Psoriasis can appear at any age. My dad was in his 50s when his psoriasis first appeared on his skin, so he would have always had the gene to potentially develop psoriasis. However, something triggered that initial episode or flare-up. And there are a number of known triggers. Number 1, a stressful or traumatic event. This can be anything from an important exam to the death of a loved one. 2, injury to the skin. This is called the Koebner phenomenon. You could damage your skin in some way, maybe a scrape or a cut, and then a patch of psoriasis can form at the site of where the damage occurred. 3, infection. Psoriasis commonly develops after someone has had strep throat. And 4, medications can also trigger the initial episode or flare-up of psoriasis. Psoriasis is a chronic condition. Once triggered, it is lifelong. And finally, psoriasis is not contagious, and that brings me on to the myths. There is an overwhelming stigma around psoriasis in Ireland, and that is partly due to the misconceptions and falsities that are out there. The most common misconception is that psoriasis is contagious. I can guarantee you that you cannot catch psoriasis off someone else. Next up is my absolute favourite. Psoriasis is just a skin condition. Psoriasis is actually an autoimmune condition, and the markings that we see on the skin are merely a symptom of the condition. Someone once said to me to think of the marks that appear on the skin as like a warning signal that something is wrong inside. Now, most autoimmune conditions are invisible per se, so psoriasis is different in that it does visualize itself on the skin surface. Next up, it's just dandruff. I wish. Psoriasis is the same as eczema. Eczema? Personally, I think that psoriasis and eczema are grouped together all too often. They do have similarities, but they're very different in other ways. Now, I will be getting into the specifics of exactly how they differ in a later video, so for now it's just important that you recognise that they are not the same. Psoriasis only affects people with white skin. That's false. Psoriasis can affect people of all races. Now, it might look a little bit different in that for people with really pale skin like me, the psoriasis will be more of a red in colour. And for people with darker skin, it could be more of a brown, a purple, or even a pink in colour. Only women get psoriasis. False. Both men and women are equally likely to develop psoriasis. Psoriasis is curable. Unfortunately, there currently is no known cure for psoriasis, but it can be managed and controlled very effectively through treatments and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Now, there will be times in your life where the physical symptoms may be minimal or even non-existent. But it's important to remember that even though you might not be able to see the signs of your psoriasis at all times, it is always there once it's triggered. Psoriasis only affects the skin's surface. As I said previously, the markings on the skin are purely a symptom of psoriasis, and the problem actually comes from within. People with psoriasis are at risk of developing other serious health conditions such as depression, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, arthritis, and having a stroke, and that's just to name a few. If you have psoriasis, your child will get it. False. If you have psoriasis, it doesn't necessarily mean that your child will inherit it from you. In fact, if a parent has psoriasis, their child has a 10% chance of developing it. For example, my grandfather had psoriasis, and out of 12 of his children, my dad was the only one to develop psoriasis. Similarly, I have psoriasis, but my sister doesn't. Yet, she could develop it in later life. Now, onto the legends. I recently discovered a booklet created by the Irish Skin Foundation called What You Need to Know About Psoriasis, and I cannot recommend this resource enough. It has been an absolute game changer in how I treat my psoriasis and how I view my condition. It goes through everything you need to know, from what psoriasis is to why it occurs, the different kinds of psoriasis there is, how to prep your skin before applying your prescribed treatment so that it's the most effective that it can be, what treatment options are available, and some of the support services that are available to you. It even explains why certain treatments are used to treat particular types of psoriasis and not others. I don't know why I wasn't handed this booklet the day I was diagnosed with psoriasis. It was 5 years after my diagnosis, having been living with psoriasis for 20 years before I was given this booklet. For years, I didn't fully understand my condition, and as a result, I couldn't treat it effectively. Unknowingly, I wasn't using treatments that were specifically designed to treat my psoriasis. I was just throwing any treatment I could get my hands on at it and willing it to go away. Once I developed a greater understanding of my condition, I was able to identify which treatments were best suited to treat my psoriasis. Seemingly all GPs and healthcare services have copies of these, but if you can't get your hands on a physical copy, you can download it for free on the Irish Skin Foundation's website. Simply go onto their website, click on the psoriasis tab, scroll down, and you should see the booklet there. I would highly recommend checking it out, and it's really user friendly in that it uses a language that's easy to understand and isn't too scientific, because definitely for someone like me who isn't literate in scientific or medical terms, that can be a barrier in understanding your medical condition. Now, there is a version of this booklet available called What You Need to Know About Your Child's Psoriasis, which may be helpful to parents of children with the condition. And it can also be downloaded for free on the Irish Skin Foundation's website. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed About Psoriasis, the facts, the myths, and the legends.
Till next week. For more information on this topic, check out Itching to Tell You on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and tune in weekly for new episodes. Like, comment, and subscribe.